Welcome to the Boat Dealer Profits podcast. I am your host, Matt Selhorst, author of the book Boat Dealer Profits, Marine Marketing Strategies, and creator of the Splash System. And we're committed to helping family-owned dealerships and manufacturers sell more boats, make more money, and have more fun. And today, I had an interesting experience. I want to start with a quick story that happened just this weekend. We got all the pumpkins for Halloween, and I've got two daughters that are 8 and 5, and so it was time to carve the pumpkins. We have probably 10 pumpkins here at the house, but we were carving the 4 big ones, each for my wife and myself and the 2 girls. So they understand the concept of carving pumpkins. They know how to do it. The 8-year-old's been doing it for a couple years with some of those little safety cutters that you can find. And my 5-year-old, she knows how to do it. She understands the concepts, but she just doesn't get the little nuances about cutting round holes, using the knife to change direction, making sure that everything is done so it turns out a really nice, good-looking pumpkin. But because I have this belief that kids are going to learn by doing, I let my kids just carve their pumpkins. I help them if they ask, but I don't care what it looks like at the final result as long as they're happy with it and they got to experience. And I try to coach them whenever possible, but I try to keep my hands away and let them do it. So here's what happened. I'll try to get a picture of this up on the show notes and show you my daughter's pumpkins, but she understands how to do it. But the actual application of doing it and understanding the circumstances in which to change her technique, she doesn't grasp it. So she has it's the difference between knowledge of knowing what to do and then understanding of knowing how to do it the best way possible. She just doesn't have the experience with it. She's carved pumpkins. I think last year she did a little bit. She wasn't really able to maneuver the knife and to do it safely. So I helped her a lot last year. But this year she was ready to jump in, and I let her do it herself. She bent the knife up, and she didn't get cut or anything. But she understood the what to do, but she didn't understand the how to do it the best way. And that got me thinking about when I come in to work with dealers. Dealers have been in business. Most of the dealers that I work with, family-owned dealers, anywhere from $2 million to $10 million, 20, maybe $30 million in revenue. Most of them have a business for at least 5 or 10 years. Many of them have a business for decades and decades, and it's the 40, 50 years of business that some of them have been in. So they understand how to sell boats. But there are some pieces that have changed over the years. The use of email, the use of text message, the use of the internet, the use of digital ads. All of those things are new and different, and they understand, they have the knowledge of, we need to market, we need to generate leads, we need to follow up with those leads, and then we need to get those leads in the dealership, and we need to close those leads. So they understand the what to do. But here's what I find very interesting. Even the successful dealers, I have dealers that are anywhere from they're struggling and they're not generating the leads, or they're not converting the leads into on-site appointments, or their salespeople aren't closing the leads. One of those is usually the 3 issues. I also have dealers that are top 100 dealers that have been, are getting awards from their manufacturers, top manufacturers, and they realize that there are things that they don't understand well enough, and they don't know how to implement properly, and so they bring me on. And it's every time I see this, I'm fascinated by the fact that they, in their mind, they know how to do it. But then when you look at, let's say their emails, and you say, okay, let me see the emails that you use. And then they show you 1 or 2 different emails, and it's the salesperson is just one-off creating the emails in each situation. And then you share the idea of, okay, well, let me ask you a question. How many different types of emails do you think you have? And do you use templates to give your salespeople the advantage to make sure that they're utilizing the absolute best sales message in each situation. And they kind of pause and think and say, no, our salespeople are responsible for taking the leads and converting them into sales, so they do all that. And then when we get into the Splash system and I show them, okay, not only do we have emails, but there's different categories, and there are best practices for each category, and each one's slightly different. It's like my daughter, there's 3 knives that you can use when you're carving the pumpkin, and the little one is easier for the big details, the medium one is good for the nose and the eyes, and then the big one is good for carving the top off and getting that done. Well, she doesn't understand the nuances of when to use which tool, which one is best for which cut, and it's the same thing with the dealers I work with. Say, okay, when you have a new lead, a brand new lead comes in, if it's online, if it's a manufacturer lead, if it's a boat show lead, if it's an on-site lead, each of the follow-ups, each of the emails that come to that person should be slightly different, but there's key components to each. And I show them and actually provide them a template, and we customize it together in most situations and say, this is the absolute best email that you can send as a template, and then your salesperson, all they need to do is just customize it and tweak it and adjust it just a little bit. It's this, they're both sending an email. So before I get into the picture, they're sending an email. After I'm into the picture, they're sending an email, and you would say, oh, well, they should be getting the same results. But in reality, the email that was sent before may be even good, but the email that is sent after we work together is outstanding, because it uses psychology. It's a thought out, a planned out message. I refer to them in my training when I'm trying to get this concept across to the salespeople and to the team. Is I hold up a $1 and a $100 bill, and I do this when I speak. I did it when I was over in Germany. I do it when I speak at dealer meetings and different conferences. But it really illustrates the point. Is each of them is just a piece of paper, right? Yet if I hold up that $1 and $100 bill in front of any audience across the globe, I've done this with dealers from Japan and Australia and Canada and the U.S. and Croatia and everywhere, Germany and Spain and Italy and Hungary, and every time, no matter where they're from, they're going to pick the $100 bill. And I say, it's printed on the same paper with the same ink from the same government, printed in the same building, probably on a similar printer, with the same safety features, and yet every time I've done this exercise, they choose the $100 bill. Because the only difference is the message on the paper. The only difference between the good email or sometimes even poor email before we work together and the outstanding email that generates good response, quality response from quality prospects, is the message in that email. I've developed the message, and it's not that they're not using the tools. Oh yeah, we send emails to our new leads, but do they send a $1 email or a $100 email? It's the same as the nuance with my daughter using the right instrument, and then using it properly. She may even choose the right one, but she doesn't have the expertise to craft the right message, to carve the right features that she's looking to. Although in the end, just like many of my dealers, in the end, she's proud as a peacock of what she's created. To me, I'm like, oh my gosh, that I could have done way better than that. But she's really proud. Just like many of the dealers I work with are like, hey, we're getting results. We're doing good. We're doing great. We're a top 100 dealer. We're a this, we're a that. We're highly profitable. And yet, when it comes to find out, when we work together, they find out that there's been a lot of money left on the table because of little tweaks and little improvements, and sometimes major improvements that result in higher margins on the sales that they do make. For most of them, it's increasing the unit sales or speeding up the turn times and reducing their costs, their curtailment, and their interest expense. The same thing with the follow-up emails, emails to non-responsive leads, emails to old leads that are maybe 2, 3, 4 years old, newsletters, breaking newsletters into different categories of relationship building e-zines and boat previews, and then adding technology on top of it using automated email sequences in different times throughout the year. All of these things, you may say, hey, I understand how to use emails, and yet having that expertise or the knowledge of using emails versus the understanding of how to get the most out of emails is where the Splash system comes in. And it's something that I want you to consider. The same thing goes to using social media. You may have the knowledge that you need to use social media, and maybe you even are using it, but are you using the best practices? Do you have a true understanding of how to use social media to generate revenue, boat sales, parts and accessories, service clients if you're looking for service business, digital ads? Oh, you may be using digital ads, but are you using them effectively? Are you getting the most out of your ad spend? Is there a lot of wasted ad spend? I see this all the time of wasted ad spend from when I go into dealers and I look at their accounts. I'm like, oh my gosh, you could do this, that, and the other and cut your expense in half, and you're likely going to keep the same level of success, maybe even increase it, because if you understand the way digital ads work and the way Google and Facebook make money, when you understand how that works, you can make some small tweaks that are going to save you money, but it's also going to make Google and Facebook say, oh, these guys are really good at this, and we're going to show their ads more often for less money. Same thing with web pages. Every dealer I work with has a website, some of them good, some of them awful, but they think, oh, I've got a website, I can check that off the list. I know I need a website, I have the knowledge, I had Dealer Spike or local company or ARI or Boats Group, I had them build my website and I'm good. Well, did you put the right messages on that website? Do you have the right pages? Do you have the right technology so that you can track what's happening on the website? All of those things come into the understanding and the expertise. And it's something that is, I want you to consider. I want you to think about this as you're going through this off season and planning and saying, okay, are there some things in our business that maybe we've been doing, but we're not doing to the optimal level? Are there some tweaks that we could make? And sometimes that means, hey, bring in some outside assistant, bring in somebody that has that expertise, just like, carving the pumpkin, although I didn't want to take it. When my wife carved her pumpkin, she carved a Harry Potter that looked outstanding. That's because she had the expertise. So had they called in my wife and said, hey, I want you to help me with this, their end result would have been much better. Although their sheer happiness of seeing the pumpkin that they carved all by themselves would have been diminished. But in the dealership, it's about, hey, are you here to make money? Are you here to be more successful? Or are you here to look at what you've created and say, I've done it all by myself, and that's your satisfaction? Well, if that's the case, great. Good luck and continue on your success. But if you're somebody that says, like my clients say, is I don't care who's responsible, all I want is the rewards. All I want is the benefits of selling more boats, making more money, and having more fun. And that's why they reach out to me with typically a profit maximizer strategy session. And some of them will flat out just say, hey, I want to work together. And but most of them will say, hey, let's talk. I've been following you for a while, been reading your boating industry articles. Maybe they've read a book or attended a webinar or seen me speak. Or a number of ways that they may have found me, but they say, let's have that conversation. Let me learn a little bit more about you, see if this is something that makes sense for our dealership, see if we even qualify to participate, if we're a good fit, and from there we go. Either way, whether we work together or not, whether it's a good fit or not, they come out with a valuable conversation. I ask some questions that they're like, I've never thought about it that way, that when they go back to their dealership, they come out with a little different perspective, and I think that is valuable as well. So to take advantage of that Profit Maximizer strategy session, all you need to do is down below in the show notes, you can click a link. It's boatdealerprofits.com. dealerprofits.com/profit maximizer, and you can take advantage of that for free. You can schedule it right on my calendar. Try to make it nice and easy for you, and we just ask that you answer a couple of quick questions so that we can prepare. But boatdealerprofits.com/profit maximizer, and you can also go back and listen to a previous episode that we did talking about massive action. It kind of flows into this one. Actually, would be a better listen before that one if you haven't. But just go back and look at the Massive Action and Messy Kitchen podcast. You might want to check that one out as well. And until then, we will talk to you next time. Take care, everybody.